Hi everyone, Scott Weaver with Designer's Workroom. So this is part 2 of our series on how to pinch pleat draperies for beginners. So we're going to start with 3 scenarios. We're going to start with a 40-inch wide rod, a 60-inch wide rod, and a 100-inch wide rod. And we're going to start talking about the fullness. What the fullness means is how full you're going to make your pinch pleat. Because there's some scenarios you can't do, so you have to make sure to get a good pleat and a good space that you follow these guidelines. In our scenario, we're only going to deal with one fullness, and it's 2.5 times your rod width. And the reason why I'm doing that is because sometimes you're going to round up to the next half width or next width, sometimes you're going to round down, depending on where it lands. There's no set percentage, but it's always better to round up than it is to round down in most cases. Having a little bit extra fabric in there isn't usually a problem. So let's go over the 40 inches with this rod width. You have 40 inches, and we're going to multiply it by 2.5. It comes out 100 inches. You divide that by the width of your fabric. Divided by, in this case, it's 54 inches. Divided by 54, it comes out to 1.85. That means 2 widths. That means you're going to have 1 width of fabric for the left side, 1 width of fabric for the right side. Or if you're making a panel, you're joining these 2 widths together. It's just going to be one panel, say on a sliding glass door. So anyhow, that's how that's going to work out. Our other scenario is 60 inches wide. So if we were to expand this rod out to 60 inches, what would you need for that? We're going to do the same scenario, and we're only going to go with the 2.5 times fullness because I feel it's the easiest. You can either go up or round down if you need to, and it just gives you a little better scenario. The one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to make your drapery too full, but you also don't want to make it too skimpy. That's why I'm saying 2.5 times your rod width is your best scenario. So again, my rod is 60 inches wide. I'm going to take 60 inches. I'm going to multiply that by 2.5. That gives me 150 inches. And then I'm going to divide that by the width material. My width material is 54 inches. Divided by 54. And I come up with 2.77 widths. That means I'm going to round up to 3 widths. 3 widths of material. So with 3 widths of material, what that means, if you're doing a pair of draperies, that means you're going to have 1 full width, and then you're going to take your half width and join it to the outer edge here. And then you have a full width here, and you join your half width, wherever my half width went to. I do have another half width here. Here it is. Here's my other half width, and you're going to join it to this side. So I came up with 3 widths. Now, if this is just a panel and not a pair, then you would join all 3. You wouldn't cut anything in half. You wouldn't have half widths. You take the 3 widths and you join them together. Okay, my last scenario, we're going to go out to 100 inches wide. So we're going to expand this rod, pretend I'm expanding it out to 100 inches. And again, I'm using the 2.5 times fullness for this. 100 times 2.5. I came up with 250 inches of material. So I need 250 inches of material to make my drapery 100 inches wide. I'm going to divide that by 54. I came out with 4.62. That's 4.5 widths of material. In this case, that would mean if it was a pair, I would be doing 2 1/4 widths on one side, 2 1/4 widths on the other. However, here's the scenario that I've got to put a factor in. I'm actually going to go up to 5 widths. And the reason why is I don't like to use 1/4 widths of fabric. I only like to deal with half width. When it comes to pleating a drapery, you never want to deal with 1/4 width. It's not that you can't, it's just a little harder. So we're going to go with 4.62, round up to 5 widths of material. So if that is a pair, you're taking 1 width, you're joining a second width onto it, and then a half width. That would be for one side of your drape. Then on your other side of your drape, you'd be joining a full width, a full width, and then your half width. To making 2.5 widths on each side, making a pair. If you're only making a panel, you'd be joining 5 widths all together. So hopefully you understand that portion of it. Now, why are those important figures to know? Because there's scenarios where you cannot pinch pleat a drapery if it's too full, because your spaces become too small. Now, on a drapery panel, you get 5 pleats. I'm going to bring this out. This is a drapery panel that's been pleated. Okay, now a couple things I want you to notice. It has a nice pleat to it. It's a good sized pleat, but it also has a nice space. So if, and this is 2.5 to 1 fullness, and that's about what you want. If you have too much material, if you join too many widths together, then your spaces become very small, and so when it opens and closes, you have a lot of stacking. And you also get really bulky pleats. So now, on the opposite end, if you're only going to 2 times fullness, which we discussed, what happens there? That means your pleat gets skimpy and your space gets really, really far out. So it's important to know 2.5 to 1 fullness is the where I recommend. And the other thing that you have to know, or should know, is that on 54-inch wide fabric, you're going to put 5 pleats in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pleats in every width of fabric, if it's 54 inches. If it's 48 inches, most likely you're only going to get 4 pleats. But in this case, we're going 5 pleats per every width. Now going back to the scenario where you're joining a half width, you have a full width, and then you have a half width. The full width you're going to have 5 pleats to. The half width you're going to have 2 pleats to it. Why is that? Because on a half width you also have to account for your return on this side and a return on this side. Return is when there is actually side pieces that go on here, so they take up extra. You always start with a space and you end with the space. As you can see, this space is narrower. This is because this only had a 2.5 inch return going around this side, and this was what was called the overlap side. The overlap, when we're talking about return and overlap, this is where these overlap. So if you notice, this is 4 inches, and that is made to go on here. You see how that goes there? And this one goes on here, and that's how those are made to go on. Oh, there goes my pen. Anyhow, this is just an introduction to drapery fullness. Our next step is we are going to start learning how to put that all together, that knowledge. Draperies aren't easy. Draperies take a lot of calculations, and you should really go back and watch my first video if you're interested in pinch pleating draperies, and then watch each one of them after, and we're going to try to narrow down all the pleating factors as far as I can. It is an incredible amount of math, to be honest with you. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. If you haven't, it would be good to subscribe every time I come out with a new video regarding pinch pleating or whatever. You'll get notified with it. Go on my YouTube channel if you'd like to. I have all kinds of information, and I will be adding more videos as I get them done. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Have a good day, good week, good month. Take care now. I hope you enjoyed the content of my videos, and I'm hoping that you're going to like and subscribe to my channel. It would be muchly appreciated. Also, I put a lot of time and effort into putting this together, and I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't mind donating a small portion of money to keep this channel going. It's of course not necessary, but it's always appreciative. And also with that, if you have any questions regarding maybe some drapery stack back or swags, whatever your question is, I would be happy to help you out with that. And to do that, all you need to do is just search for Scott Weaver or Scott Weaver videos, and you can click on it, and there's the subscribe button, of course. And then you click onto my face here, and over here you'll see a donate to PayPal. You hit that, and it'll bring you to the link, and it is safe and secure. There it is right there. You can donate with either a credit card, any credit card or debit card, or by PayPal. Of course, this is not necessary, and I'm going to keep giving you the best videos that I possibly can with the limited resources I have. But anyhow, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.